Hello everyone, Pillars TCG here, and I'm bringing you the first episode of my brand new series, How to Create Your Own Homemade Trading Card Game. Now, the point of this series is, I feel like we've all been there as new creators where we're new, we don't know exactly what to do, so we look up a video on how to create a trading card game. Now, the issue with this is, you'll click on a 20-minute long video, watch it, and you'll be left with so many questions because the process just cannot be summed up that quickly. So this will be an in-depth series, and I will be creating a game alongside you guys on how to properly make a game, at least my own approach. So to start off, very first thing I would do is make a Google Doc, and I like to do a project proposal. This is just me, you don't have to. If you don't have access to Google Docs, any kind of notebook will work just fine for this. So right here, I just like to start with an overview. Whenever I make a game, I like to think about one of two things. I think you need one main premise for when you start that you will build your entire game off of. So I think you need to figure out either something you love about every trading card game you've played, or something you hate about every trading card game you've played. For example, if you love life point systems and life systems in Magic, maybe you'll find a way to incorporate that as the main system of play. For example, in Pillars, my main trading card game that you can check out on this channel, I focused mine on a new way of damaging because I didn't like life systems. So that's what I based my game off of. And I managed to evolve it into a unique game from there. So here I'm approaching it the same way. I still don't like life systems, but for a different way. What I don't like is steamrolling in games, which is when one player manages to get the momentum early, the other player can never get the cards to stop them, and they just win the game easy peasy. As the person steamrolling, I don't think that's fun. It's a boring win. If you're being steamrolled, it's not fun. It's a boring loss, and you just get frustrated. So I want to try to eliminate that from my game. So once you have your initial premise like that, think about, well, what's a way to either stop that or increase that? So in my example that I'll be building off of, I personally think, wait, what's one of the biggest places where you see comebacks? Sports. So that made me think, why don't I base my TCG like a sport? So what I will do is a point system. I don't know what this means quite yet, but I know I don't want it to be take out 20 life, you win, take out 8,000 life points, you win, destroy 7 shields, you win. I don't want anything like that. I want there to be a random amount of points you can get per game like a sport. And also I want phases or halves. So essentially what I'm thinking for my game is there will be multiple phases in which players play. Once the first phase ends, there's a break and a reset in the game. However, the point values stay the same. So if someone has 3 points and the other has 20, that's how it's going to be in phase 2. So that's how I would start. Figure out something that you really want to base your game off of. You don't need anything else yet. So here I've got just the basis of what I want to do in my game. Now you need to expand on it. But this isn't quite expanding in the same way of just, okay, now create your game. Figure out what you want to do, what direction you want your game to go. So once you have your basic idea of your game, this is kind of your premise, and start, as it says right here on the Google Doc, it's an overview. So start doing that. Don't worry about rule specifics. So what I will start with is point system. I know I want one, but what do I want? So start jotting down ideas you think you might like. So some things I might want to do here is maybe when a creature card is destroyed, opposing player gains X points. And maybe here I want points to equal the level of the card. So that's one possibility. However, I don't know quite yet if that's what I want to do. I shouldn't stick to that idea and try to charge that. I think it's a good idea and a good start though, having a card that when you is destroyed, you get points. So try to think of that in your own games. So let's say your basic premise is you want to make a game about milling a deck. I've seen a couple of those. Cogs of War is a great example of this. But you would sit there and you would have milling deck to win. If this is your premise, You can go anywhere with this. Do you want it to be direct attacks? That could be a good way to do it. Every time your opponent takes a direct attack, they have to remove a certain amount of cards from their deck based on the power. That might be how Cogs of War does it. I'm not quite sure. Sorry, Symphonite. But that's a way you could do that. Another way you could do it is you could say, well, I don't want it to be too much like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic that relies on attacking your opponent directly. So maybe you draw certain cards that do it. So this would be maybe like you have a trading card game, but it's more kind of like an Uno-based game. I don't know, because this isn't what I'm thinking about for my game, but maybe you draw certain cards, and those cards that you play make certain things happen to your opponent's deck. Either make them draw or discard or something. And maybe cards on the field could change that. I don't know. Maybe your premise is even that you don't have a field. You can do anything you want. That is the best part of this. Here we've taken our first idea. Alright, so here when you have a basic idea, maybe right now you can't think of any other way you want to organize this. Maybe this is what you think you're going to do with your point system. You want it to be creature card is destroyed, the opposing player gains X points equal to the level on the card. You think that is concrete in the way your game is going to go. Now, this could easily work. So what I would recommend, and this is going to sound a little strange, but this is how I've created all of the trading card games I've thought of and made in the past. What you need to do is grab some Magic cards, some Yu-Gi-Oh cards, some Pokemon cards, maybe even like if you happen to own some Chaos Galaxy cards or Wrath of Kors cards, whatever cards you have, pull them out, make a random deck, it doesn't even have to be a real deck, and play your game. You won't necessarily have actual rules, but just figure out how you want to play it. That's the easiest way to expand on an idea. So for example here, don't try to focus in on what you want your actual battling system to be. Maybe essentially play a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Against yourself, maybe with a friend, but this is how you score your points. Maybe take out some Yu-Gi-Oh! Rules. For example, you don't want to sacrifice, you can just play whatever. Maybe you want to discard to play cards. Toy around with it, but just figure out a way that makes you see just whether or not the system is fun. It doesn't have to be fundamentally sound, doesn't have to be a core idea yet, but if it's fun and you think you can make it a game, stick with that. And that's where I want to leave you today. You have a basic overview of what you want to do. You have an idea or two, maybe three. The more ideas, the better, that you will try using physical cards to see whether you enjoy your game idea or not. Trust me, this is the easiest way, in my opinion, to make an idea grow in your head. And as you get ideas from this, jot them down on this document. Put them in your overview, maybe you want to set it up differently, but this is how ultimately you need to work on your game. Or not need, but how I would very much advise you to. I hope that this guide has been a helpful first start. I promise that there will be more detail in the future, but we're just getting started.